Okay. Should be connected. Make sure that we coming through loud and clear. And looks good. Okay. What's going on, guys? We back again with another video. Choo Choo.
Zaza.
And today we have a special guest. You can introduce yourself to the people.
I'm Dennis.
All right. So right now it's a whole lot of coon activity right now. You know, that's let's just get that straight, because we Black Trump supporters, and the people don't like Black Trump supporters. White liberals don't like Black Trump supporters, or Black conservatives, or anything of the sort. Black Republicans, anything that's to the right, they don't like. So could you right? Anything to the right they don't like. Can you tell me about your experience of maybe when you woke up and like the reaction you got from your friends and family?
As far as me being a Trump supporter?
Yeah. Or were you always a Trump supporter?
Here's what happened. I was a Democrat. And when 2016 started, I voted for Hillary Clinton because but my mindset, Trump gonna win the race.
Right.
But I still voted for Clinton. Then when 2016 came and stuff, and then my uncle from Georgia, he's a big time Trump supporter. He's a Republican. He said, do your research and look more about Trump. So the more I did my research through YouTube and everything else, the more I started to see things clearly.
Right.
So when I went to the Back to Blue march back in 2020 with Candace Owens, I forget, Brandon Tatum was there, Larry Elder was there.
Oh, you got the hitters.
You know, they was there. I even took a picture with Anthony Brian Logan.
Ooh.
Nice.
So I took a picture with him, and then we walked to. Then I met a lot of people, very peaceful. It was the most peaceful demonstrating I ever experienced my whole life.
Yeah.
At first, then we walked to the White House. That's when I videotaped Donald Trump, President Trump, at the time. So my experience grew more and more. The more I read Trump and read things from the Republican point of view, the more I say it's time for me to leave the Democrat plantation.
Yep. That's exactly what it is, a plantation.
So what I did was I just say, I'm not going to do it. Now, I convinced my daughter. I love my daughter, but she don't see things the way how I see it, maybe because I'm older than her.
Right.
And she's a big-time Bernie Sanders supporter. So I say, what? She questioned me, why would I support Trump? And I had to say, well, the economy is pretty good. My wages was up. My taxes was down.
Right.
I had more money in my pocket under Trump than I did with Obama or any other president. Then I asked her, well, what do you think Bernie Sanders could do to benefit you? Well, he could forgive my tuition. I say, okay, now you're a college graduate now. I want you to do now. That's why I tell most Black people, take economics. If you don't know it, take economics, and it will break down how things work as far as money wise go. So when she said that, I say, are you sure that Bernie Sanders going to do it? She said yes. Okay, we'll see. So when they had the primary in 2020, it was Biden and Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders lost.
Right.
The reason why Biden won is because he told everybody on the airwave, all the immigrants, I'll call them aliens, but all the immigrants could come into this country and stuff. So when he said that was a red flag for me. That was a warning that most Blacks didn't take, because they are comfortable being miserable.
Yeah.
Yep.
And when they
love their hell.
They
love their hell.
Yeah, they love it. And when you're comfortable by being miserable, you complain by not going nowhere. And that's the problem with blacks. They complain, but they don't go nowhere. They cry racist. They don't go nowhere. They'll say everything. But if you look at the Japanese, they got over what happened during World War II. They moved on. You look at the Jews, they got over the Holocaust. They moved on. You got every other nationality that whatever they went through, they move on. Black people are still stuck what happened 50 plus years ago. And when they stuck on that, they don't go nowhere.
Yep.
Take a look at the black neighborhood. It used to be in a black neighborhood when I was young. Now they call it the hood. Because nobody ain't acting neighborly no more. They not being neighborly.
Exactly.
No more. So.
Wow, I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yes. And then, so I voted first time for Trump as a Republican. And Trump was leading Biden. Next thing you know, Arizona called in the election early. Everybody, all the battleground states that Trump won in 2016, all of a sudden Biden won in 2020. So when Trump trying to challenge, he just wanted to see if the election is fair. There was no interference. There was no Trump supporter that say, hey, if you don't flip it, it's going to be a problem. So that's the problem right there, that most societies say that Trump started an insurrection. First of all, you got to define.
That's a lie.
Yeah, you got to define insurrection, and then you got to really see if Trump did incite an insurrection, which he didn't.
Right.
Because it's a difference between watching his speech, listen to his speech, versus listen to what the mainstream media cut it, edit it, and make a soundbite out of everything.
Right.
Here's another example. The View. Mm-hmm. They are beyond they are beyond everything itself for who they are. Now, if you look at it, you got Whoopi, you got Joyless Behar, you got you got everybody else who are against Trump. And then the other thing is, when you trying to make your point, they'll cut you. They so busy cut you off.
Yeah.
They'll do that all the time.
It's fascism.
Yeah. And even Sonny Holcomb. And Sonny owe us reparation because it's for fun. You know, her family's a slave owners and stuff. So I need some money now. She owes me money.
Right. We can start with you first.
Yeah. So that's another thing. That's one of the examples. And then they so stuck on this insurrection.
Yeah.
January 6th. Now, that's what they focusing on. Here's another thing. Biden is losing in the polls, especially these battleground states. Now, what are the Democrat strategy? Two things they focusing on. They're not focusing on the border. They're not focusing on the economy. They're not even focusing on crime. Guess what the two things they focusing on?
What do you mean they're not focusing on the border? Like
they're not focused. That's not their agenda.
Oh.
But what are the Democrats' two agenda?
Well, it seems like getting people in the country and getting them the right to vote.
No. Racism.
Oh, well, yeah.
And abortion.
Right.
Those
Those
are the two key things. They are more focusing on abortion because the Republicans, when the Supreme Court put Roe versus Wade back down to the states, the Democrats and some of the women here lost it. They lost their everlasting, whatever God gave them a mind. It's just gone. And they focusing because they said that the Supreme Court got rid of the abortion, Roe versus Wade, which
right. That's what they. Yeah, when I wasn't into politics, but I remember that was happening, and I was like, they got rid of abortion, and that's what the narrative was. They were saying they got rid of abortion. That's just the talking point. That's a lie.
That was their talking point.
Yeah, exactly.
But the Supreme Court say we're not going to handle this as far as federal go.
Right.
We're going to send it back and let the state deal with it because each state have different laws.
Right.
And when they put Roe versus Wade, you got some states like Indiana. They say you're not going to do no abortion here. Ohio, South Dakota, North Dakota, Texas, Florida, Georgia, they're not going to do it. But Illinois, they so pro-abortion. Pritzker signed a bill into law stated that a 10-year-old could have an abortion without notifying the parent. Now
that's crazy.
Now here's the question: what is a 10-year-old doing having sex in order for them to get an abortion? Now
that's crazy. Now
the reason why Pritzker signed that into law because every Democrat get their hands greased up by the Soros Foundation and all these other poor abortion rights.
Yep.
So when they do that, they will say, "Women's is my body, my choice." But during the pandemic, they're trying to force us to get the vaccine.
Right.
So it's my body and my choice. So when a woman say that I have the right to abort my child, first of all, I wouldn't even dare give you no kid. First of all, I would never do that. That's the last thing because number one, you're about 300 pounds. Number two, you're not attractive and stuff. And I tell any women this: if you so much for abortion, how about this? If you pro-choice, how about be pro-responsibility?
Yeah,
be responsible.
That's toxic to women.
Because here, when you say that, you saying that I don't have the right to bear your child, but I have the right to be a whore.
Right. Yeah, that's basically what it is.
Yep.
So what were you all? You said you voted for Hillary. Like, what was your the reaction you got from your friends and family
when I decided to become a Trump supporter? Yeah. They asked me a question. Some asked me, "Well, why did you do it?" I explained because of the economy, the border was good and everything else. But then they throw the race card in there. I say, "Can you prove to me that he said something racist?" Because he didn't say nothing to offend me that was racist. So they don't have an argument and stuff. I tell anybody, if you can present your argument, present the argument. Don't present a argument, present the argument. Then if that argument is legitimate, then I will say, okay, he did. But I listened to Trump's speech ever since I became a Trump supporter. And I never heard him say nothing about anything against black.
Yeah, he didn't.
He just, it's like this here. When a person show you the truth, it's the truth to you. When a person tell a lie, he believe it's the truth. He lies so much, it's more biblical than the Bible. That's all. That's the only thing I could put in that perspective. So I had some surprise reaction more than a bad reaction because they surprised that I have a Trump hat on. Then they were really shocked because I was once more like Black Power and I was into
pro-black.
Yeah, I was more pro-black, but I was doing something besides calling myself pro-black. I talked to the young people, help them trying to get jobs and stuff like that, even help them get their education and stuff. I haven't seen not one pro-black person do anything but talk about it.
Yeah, they don't. They that's all they can do is talk about it because they fighting an imaginary battle. Is they battling racism and they thinking that the biggest threat to black people is white people when the biggest threat to black people is black people and self accountability. Like you're more likely to be murdered. They know the fact that blacks commit a higher rate of murder than anybody else, but then they go back and say, oh well, everybody knows that you crime like that is proximity, but we're talking about the rate at which it's happening.
Well, if you 30% of the population and you commit 52% of the crime, something don't add up with the numbers.
Yeah.
Offhand.
Yeah.
So the only racism that black could experience, the only way that black could experience racism is against blacks.
Yeah.
So if you look at it, they used the crime used to be focusing on the west side and the south side of Chicago. But when you tear down the project and giving these people vouchers, which I think that was the biggest mistake ever, the crime spread everywhere. Now you got all these politicians, especially in the state of Illinois, you got a Democratic mayor, a Democratic county president, you got a Democratic sheriff, you got a Democratic governor, you
Yep.
got a Democratic lieutenant governor, you got a Democratic secretary of state, you got a Democratic what's Kim Fox's position? Kim Fox, that's another Democrat.
Just
you
top
know,
down Democrats, top down.
But see that if you look at all these Democrats, of course crime is going to go up. Of course, everything else is going to go up because we so much secluded in the plantation that blacks live in, based off of pleasing master, the Democrat master. Blacks will do anything to make sure they stay pleased, even though they crack the whip on our back. So when somebody questioned me about, well, what did Trump did? He secured. He did. We had the lowest migrant coming in ever. The unemployment rate was at 4%. He wasn't satisfied. He wanted to 2%.
Right.
And so the price of gas, grocery was very affordable. He cut the taxes, not for the rich. He cut the tax for the working class and that when you cut down taxes, your wages go up.
Right.
When you raise taxes, your wages are gonna go down.
Right.
So
What you said earlier about when you go to school, take an economics class, I learned that the supply and demand and how the economy worked in my freshman year of college, like because I was a business minor and I took economics 101, and they pretty much explained how money doesn't come out of thin air, product doesn't come out of thin air, and you have to be compensated for the work in there, and like the input and output have an inverse relationship. So if you put something in, it has to make sense for it to go out. And it's like having a business mindset of like the risk reward and stuff like that. It has to be worth the risk to try to reap the reward. And just thinking about how money doesn't come out of thin air, they in college they teach you you if you take an economics class, like because I had the best of both worlds. I took economics and then I ended up taking sociology. And sociology pretty much throws economics out the window. It pretty much teach you social sciences of how the world works, and just kind of making stuff up, and all this weird social science, and it really doesn't explain what's actually going on. It's all just theories.
But they didn't teach you about capitalism for socialism either. See,
No.
that's another thing. The school, when I was in school, I understood Marxism versus capitalism. But now to the day of the younger generation, they more into socialism.
Yeah, they are.
Because they figure that the CEO or the owners and stuff, they don't pay the wages to the workers, and that's how the unions get involved. Yes, I'm a union worker, and the union has been good to me, but sometimes the union has not been good to me. So when the Ford plant was on strike back about 4, 5, or 6 months ago.
You said the Ford?
Ford.
Yeah.
they did Bernie Sanders. Who's the first one out there? Bernie Sanders. Higher wages and stuff like
Yep.
that. Now, the minute these workers, they do everything was settled. Guess what coming in now? These these EVs. So now, how the workers going? How this going to work? Because nobody's not going to buy no electric vehicles. They're not going to do it. A, it's not safe. B, the batteries are made. The battery are made out of lithium. When that lithium go out, and you spend the money on a $60,000 car, that's not even including insurance. I didn't even add the insurance. We're gonna look at the $60,000 car. Then, if that battery burnt out or get damaged, guess what? You gotta send that money. You gotta buy a new battery. That's $20,000. So still paying the base value of an electric car of $60,000. But guess what? You gotta pay $20,000 for the battery. And guess where you gotta get the battery at? From China.
Oh man. That sounds like a really big headache and a money pit. Honestly,
it is.
Because I don't see why folks is like they destroying the foundation of this country by complaining about everything that's going on. Like especially with the Ford stuff. I got a friend that works at Ford. And, he was talking about how the CEOs can just kick their feet up and just collect all this money while the workers got to break their necks and stuff. And I'm just like, how can you say that when the CEO that's kicking his feet up, he's the reason you have a job right now? Like, you're working at the job. And also, if you're not running the company, you don't, how you assuming that he's just kicking his feet up and letting the money roll?
Because they figure the CEO is making the money and stuff. But you know what? He got paid. He got to pay the lawyers. He got to pay the taxes. He got paid the benefits like health benefits and stuff like that. So whatever your friend is complaining about, that's where the money is not into the CEO. They get a percentage, but all that money is not going to go through.
It's a lot that he has to pay for.
Yes,
like HR is a costly department.
Yeah.
Finance, not just managing the finances is costly.
And then you got to deal with OSHA. So
exactly.
So there's a lot of things that some people don't understand how it works and stuff like that. Just like when I'm over here at UPS, we was threatening a strike. So when the wages went up, guess what? The quality of work got cut down some.
Right.
So now, I mean, you get what you asked for. Just like when we voted Lightfoot out. Then I didn't vote for Brandon Johnson. The only person I voted for was Willie Wilson during the primary.
He gave out that free gas, didn't he?
Well, it wasn't because of the gas was free.
No, I'm saying that's who that was, though, right?
Yes, okay. Yes. So the reason why they didn't vote for him because he had a third grade education.
What?
But look how much money he made out of a third grade education.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Third grade education, huh?
Yeah. And look, he's the richest man in the city. He's one of the richest men in the city. And I voted for him because he think like everybody else. He's tired of the crime. He's tired of the poverty and everything else. So he said that he will not allow the migrants in the city of Chicago because we got to take care of the homeless people here first. We got to take care of the veterans first.
Right.
We got to put jobs in the community and stuff.
Yeah.
So none of the candidates, especially Brandon Johnson, didn't say that. He said he would want to fund the police and stuff. And I'm going to get with that defund the police rhetoric in a little while. But he wants things the way it need to be, not the way how some progressive wanted it to be. And now when blacks voted for Brandon Johnson, now the first thing he said during his campaign speech is what? I'm going to let the migrant in. I'm going to find a way to take money from the police and stuff. We have a hiring shortage for police. And the only way that you're going to make the cities more safer is, I'm going to give you some lists. Put some money back into the police budget.
Yeah, you're going to have to.
B, you gotta arm yourself. C, you gotta lift the sanctuary laws here in Chicago. That been destroying us since Harold Washington put that sanctuary law in.
That's wild.
Yeah. And some people didn't understand what the sanctuary laws meant. The sanctuary
They just look it up.
the sanctuary law is that we're not obligated to help ICE deport some people, but it didn't say we should fund these people at the same time. So that's where the problem come in at. Then you got to look at the Board of Education, and you got to look at, okay, the Chicago Teacher Union that's who really running the city,
right?
Through the mouth of Brandon Johnson.
Yeah, because he was like the head of the teachers union.
Yeah,
right?
he was a member of the teachers
He's a socialist, an avowed socialist.
He was. I mean, he didn't even. He just passed some of the class because he said some of the schoolwork was racist. So he said everything he said is racist. Every black people said what's going on racist. You want to know what's the real racist is? Black on black crime. And nobody don't want to address that.
Yep.
Nobody don't want to address that until a white cop shoot a black, so-called unarmed black man.
Yeah.
Now, you know how you stop that? Tell these young boys, stop trying to challenge authority and stuff. Not every time you, her, or myself walk out that door, we gonna be targeted by the police.
Yeah,
we're not.
That's not true.
No, I got stopped. I got pulled over by the police more than one time. The only thing I'm worried about is, will he give me a ticket?
Right.
And I hope that he don't give me a ticket.
I've been pulled over numerous times, and like for legitimate reasons. Like a couple times, my tail light was out. I didn't know my tail light was out, and they just if you just be cool and just be respectful and do what they ask you to do, 9 out of 10 they won't give you a ticket.
Right. So it's all about being courtesy, because they're gonna be courtesy towards you. You don't have to. I mean, you look real dumb, smell like 5 pounds of weed on you, and you crying that you didn't do nothing. Just lying. That's the only thing wrong with him. But and then so when Brandon Johnson won, you outgo lifer, which that was a problem for 4 years. Now income Brandon Johnson with a bigger problem for the next 4 years. So now all these illegal immigrants coming in, taking over halfway over the city. They over there in Woodlawn, South Shore. They they talk about going to Austin.
Yeah, they making their way. They made their way downtown, because I work on Randolph Street at a club, and the club usually runs really smooth. It's really smooth. A lot of people, high energy place, and we've been having a pickpocketing problem these past couple weeks. We caught the people that was doing it. They were Venezuelans. They look very much out of place, because this is, like I said, it's downtown, majority white folks, and the people that come in, it's like upper scale, and even the black folks that come through, that they don't come through looking any old type of way. So they came in looking very out of place, but they let them in because we don't want to discriminate, right? We let them in.
Won't you define that? If you don't want nobody in your establishment, define.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I don't think discrimination is bad. I think it's just a way to shut people up, or to call you names and stuff. You discriminate. I don't see a problem, because you discriminate when you date, don't you? Don't you discriminate people that you don't like when you dating? You discriminate against food that you don't like. If you built your business, why don't I have the right to tell somebody that they can't come in my business? I got the right to tell you can't come in my house, right? You discriminate against people coming in your house, right. So that's just a talking point. I don't get that. I don't get that discrimination stuff, but. With these companies, they so woke, and these policies that's getting passed down through HR, and now they like, well, you can't discriminate because you can get a lawsuit and stuff. So we let them in, and throughout the whole night, 10 people came up to me saying they lost their phone, lost their wallets, they lost their passports, their purses. Like, these people literally was bombarding me because somebody was pickpocketing them. So we ended up catching the guys, and they were Venezuelans, and they had just ditched the stuff. They had just ditched it, so when we caught them, they didn't have it. But we knew it was them because, first off, once we catch you, you acting super, super duper guilty. And then, we just asking you to run your pockets. These dudes got butt ass naked in the hallway I'm just like, you're doing too much. Like, it's like a fu because we caught you, but you didn't have the stuff on you.
It is a big fu. It's a fu through the United States government.
Yeah,
and stuff,
exactly.
You know, because they over here trying to say, well, you got some blacks who like amazingly, you know, I don't want to call them out their name, but anyway, they sitting around here saying, well, they're human too. They,
Yeah.
you got some fighting for these Venezuelans. You know, now when they cut your throat, are you gonna still fight for them? No, you're gonna try and stop yourself from bleeding to death.
Right.
That's one
Yeah.
thing about it, Ralph. So when they over here sit around here talking about that, well, we need to get these Venezuela a problem. I'm gonna tell you what happened. A year ago, they was going to bring the immigrants over there at the old South Shore High School building, the old building.
Right.
Okay. So the residents of South Shore wasn't having it. So they was on Black Excellent radio show, two of them. So I asked them a question. I say, if you knew this was going to happen, why did you vote for it? See, you vote for the disaster.
Yep.
Then you complain how to clean the mess up that you made.
Yep.
And that's what happened. And blacks are so busy jumping the gun about we got to make sure this place stay a Democrat.
Yeah, that's all they worried about. And you know, when I talk to folks like my cousin, he's just stuck on the whole Republicans are racist. I'm like, you haven't seen a Republican. You haven't seen a Republican mayor. You barely seen a Republican. He brought up that the governor at some point was Republican. I'm like,
oh, you talking about Bruce Rauner?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm like, and what did he do? Like, you acting like he did something so revolutionary, or like did he prove himself to be racist, or like we've been voting Democrat for 70 years. We've been having Democrat mayors for 70 years, and you don't see a problem with that. Like, you don't see a problem that we all of a sudden paying for plastic bags. You don't see a problem that they taxing us for water. You don't see a problem with this stuff
because they're comfortable. They're comfortable. If they don't see what's in front of them, then they're comfortable until it really hit hard.
Right.
Then they complain.
Yeah, like the immigrant stuff. But they only complain about the immigrants because they covetous. They jealous of what the immigrants are getting. And it's like, you jealous of them, they living in tents, bro. How are you jealous of them because they getting some money? Well, yeah, I mean, I'm mad that they're taking our tax dollars. Like, that's money's coming straight out of our pocket. But they're mad about, they're getting our reparations. Where the hell did that come from? I don't get where that came from.
Well, you gotta be real careful with the word reparation, because sometimes when black people crying about reparation and stuff, here's another example. They made it legislate. It went through the House and the Senate in the state of California. Gavin Newsom vetoed it. The Reparation Act in California.
Mm.
Now the blacks over here get all upset because he didn't pass the bill so we can get reparation. Now, if you get first of all, if you get reparation, who's gonna pay for it?
Exactly. They make it seem like money coming out of thin air is just okay.
But who gonna pay for the reparation?
Everybody's gonna pay for it. You're gonna pay for it too.
Exactly. The taxpayer gonna pay for
Yeah.
it. So guess what? I'm paying myself, and I'm not getting nowhere.
Exactly.
So that's another thing right there. And then just like, for instance, the city of Chicago. God bless Brandon Johnson, but I'm being sarcastic when I say that. But he's suing Glock because they say that the
design was made it too easy for them to modify it.
Right, but see, the Glock, the switches are made in China. Now,
Right.
You ain't gonna sue China, but you want to sue which
Right.
I don't think that's gonna ever happen.
It shouldn't, because I don't really get why he think that that's a good idea. Well, I get why he thinks it's a good idea because he's a moron, but I don't see why people that support him think that that's a good idea. Like he tried to sue Kia for them making their cars stealable. So now it's Kia's fault. It's a fault in their design.
But he ain't gonna go after TikTok because they put that video on how to do it.
Exactly.
They ain't
So
gonna
it's collective outrage.
Right. So, but then they'll say, well, this is freedom of speech. Yeah, but you commit a crime on victims through free speech.
Right. And
I'm down with that.
And then you publicize it on TikTok. You incriminated yourself.
Yeah. So Brandon Johnson is not gonna he gonna be a very one-term mayor.
Yeah.
He gonna be the one-term mayor.
Well, unless he run against a white man. If he run against
or a black Republican.
Yeah, any type of either he white or he Republican or black, either a white liberal or a black Republican, Brandon Johnson might beat him because he's gonna beat the black Republican because he a coon. The white man he gonna beat is because he's white, and they're just gonna call him a MAGA Republican like they did Paul Vallis. They literally painted that dude as a MAGA Republican,
and he's not even close.
He's nothing close to that. But just the brainwashing is so deep. I remember seeing
Paul Vallis is progressive. First
yes, yes,
progressive.
When we was asking people, for before the mayor election, we was asking like, yeah, who you voting for? You gonna vote for Paul Vallis or Brandon Johnson? You know, we just observing because they both piles of crap. But we just curious to who people gonna vote for. That it ultimately came down to, well, Paul Vallis is a racist or he's white. I'm not, at least as a black man, at least Brandon Johnson's black. That's ultimately what it came down to. And then they get mad when you say that these are DEI mayors. You voted for them because they were black. That's literally DEI. Like that. How don't you understand that?
You know how black, you know the easiest way to keep blacks down?
What? How?
Vote for black politicians.
Oh yeah.
That's all you gotta do. Vote for black politician, and your trouble is over with. You know, when we voted for Obama and stuff, I did too. Don't get me wrong. I voted for Obama. I did twice, but he didn't do no more than what he did for the LGBTQ community.
Yeah.
He put that DACA up in there for the illegal immigrants.
Yep.
And he gave black $13 billion worth of food stamps. So he did something for the blacks. He just gave them that food stamp away and stuff. Now here's the crime. Now here's the thing. 2020, when they had that riot, you know how many kids that got shot and killed during 2020?
No, I didn't know that.
12.
Wait, how many kids got shot and killed
during the 2020 riot?
12 kids?
12. That's
wow.
Within a 1 month time span.
Wow, that's bad.
12. That was on the Lightfoot watch. Lightfoot did not.
Only in Chicago? 12 in Chicago?
In Chicago.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's 12. See, what happened was Lightfoot was anti-police.
Right. She
was anti-police, and she did not care. The only time, just like when Adam Toledo got shot and killed. Now, Adam Toledo got shot and killed because he was hanging with another gang member over there in the village.
Right.
And then what happened was that when the police had one in custody, he ran. He had a gun in his hand in the alley. Turn around.
I think I remember seeing that.
Lightfoot wanted that cop head. She wanted that cop head. And then when that body cam found out that he didn't do it, guess who was out there protesting out there in Little Village? Jamal Green. He's He's the most anti-cop whatsoever. But then when he ran for mayor, and so I gotta bet I probably could pull about 2% more voting than he can.
Yeah, Jamal.
And what happened was he said,
"I'm listening."
He said that we need more programs. What kind of program are you going to develop?
What more? What more do we need?
What program? What kind of program? That's my point, though. What kind of program that you demand and what we need? Now, he haven't showed now after the election. When the last time you saw Jamal Green?
Haven't seen.
You haven't seen him at all.
No.
He waiting for a white cop to shoot a unarmed black kid
Yep.
and stuff. That's what he waiting on. But then, if the cops not going, so the cops, this is what the police did. You remember the story? What happened in Ferguson with Brandon Johnson? I mean, what's his name? Mike Brown. So, what's happening in Ferguson is happening in all these major cities. The cops say, we're going to let you off each other out. And then we'll just come back when we decide to get ready to show up. See, the Ferguson effect is a very powerful and dangerous tool towards black. Because when you get tired of these cops, the cops going to say, well, we just step back and then y'all go ahead on and do you. Do you. But I guarantee you, we're not going to put our life on the line for some of you criminals over here that you over here crying about the police and stuff. So that's what happened right there. And that's why I said, if I run for mayor, I think I'm gonna run as a Republican because I can't think like a Democrat no more and stuff.
Nope.
I mean, I screw up, I make some mistake. I make some mistakes in my whole life, but at least I'm not gonna be a Democrat. That's not gonna be a mistake. That's just like a suicide sin right there. Yeah. So that's one thing. Yeah, so that's one thing about. But when Jamal Green, I have not seen him at all. If you say you want to do programs and all that stuff, do it. Don't talk.
He literally took donation money and didn't do nothing with it. He was gonna build a youth center, and we looked up, did he build the youth center? And no, he didn't, because we knew exactly what he was talking about. He didn't do anything he said he was gonna do. And Jamal Green, I just saw one of his posts. He made a post talking about there's a video of a police officer basically executing a kid or a black man or something like that. And he's like, yeah, I got inside sources of, they're telling me that they're going to drop this video of police execution. And, I'm not trying to rile y'all up, but I'm just give y'all a heads up. And it's like,
oh, you riling them
yeah,
up.
they're literally, yeah, he knew what he was doing. I'm just like, this is the most disingenuous piece of crap I've ever seen. Like, I can't believe that folks actually supported him, but they do it because he's black. It's literally just, they literally only do it because he's black. And speaking of doing stuff because they black, have you been paying attention to what's going on in Dalton?
Oh yeah, Tiffany here, super mayor.
Oh my goodness,
super mayor.
That lady.
Now the trustee is now appointing Lori Lightfoot to be the special prosecutor.
Yeah, that's wild.
I'll say, okay, so let me see here. Corruption versus corruption. You can't get no better than the state of Illinois and stuff. You got corruption versus corruption. The problem is, which corruption going to win?
Yeah. The cancer or the AIDS? That's ultimately what it comes down to.
Yeah, that's pretty much sums it up right there. So when I say it can't get I don't live in Dalton, so it just can't get no worse than what it is. Right but it got worse.
Yeah, it's only gonna get worse. I see that it was gonna get worse when they tried to impeach her, and
we don't have an impeachment. We can't impeach.
You can't impeach a mayor.
No.
What if they do?
You talking about recall?
They did something. They was trying to get her out the office, and she basically beat whatever was going on, some process that was going on.
If anything, they're gonna have to put in a special election.
You can't impeach a mayor? That's crazy.
I don't think you can impeach a mayor and stuff, because then if you can, then that's gonna be an uphill battle in a mudslide, because then you're gonna have to I think the trustees might have to do it now. I could be wrong on that, so I'm gonna have to look it up and see if a mayor could be impeached in the city. I know you could recall them, but we don't have a recall. I know you could recall the governor. I don't know if they could recall Tiffany Haddish. They can recall her, have a recall and stuff. That's the only way that they're gonna get her out of office is do a recall election.
Folks out there suffering.
Right. So they gotta do a recall election out there in Dalton. Because we wanted Pritzker to be recalled because all this stuff that's been going on. Now, since there's enough. Now here's the thing. I'm a gun activist, and I'm strongly believing in the 2A. And I tell some people, why did you vote for Pritzker and he's anti-2A? See, he want to take all your gun. Now, we got this silly law called the PICA Act, the Protect the Illinois Community Act. And what it is that now, about a year and a half ago, you're supposed to register your gun to the Illinois State Police by January 1st of 2024. So out of 200 some million people who FOID card holder, they only got but over 60,000 that register after January 1st. So now they trying to pass this bill, SB 3239, stating that if your FOID card, when you renew it, you gotta take a class. Then you gotta pay for another one with a fingerprint, and then it's up to the state and local law enforcement to give you that concealed permit.
So they basically you basically got to reapply for your FOID all over again.
It's just like you brand new.
That's what part of these rights shall not be infringed do these folks not understand?
Well, first of all, you gotta stop voting Democrat. That's the number one.
Goodness,
that's the number one thing
on your rights.
Yeah, because it's under the Second Amendment. It's under the Second Amendment, and then it's under the Illinois State Constitution, section 25 and stuff. They both have the same thing about that. And Pritzker is because Pritzker is under influence of Mom Demand Action and all these anti-2A activists and stuff, and they put some money in. So every time the pro 2As trying to sue them, guess what? You gotta go to Cook County, or I don't know the county out there in Springfield. Those are only two places you could put appeal in against these to fight for your 2A right. It's those two counties, Cook and Springfield. You can't go no other counties like DePage. You can't go to Jackson County. That's out there in southern Illinois and stuff. You can't go to Effingham County, Champaign County. You can't do it. But here's the thing: the sheriff. You got about 90 sheriffs here. It's about 110 counties here in this state. They say they're not going to enforce that law. They already said they're not going to enforce because it violates the Second Amendment.
Right.
And so Pritzker's trying to be a bully and stuff, trying to say, well, if you don't do it, then we're going to make it hard for you. So that's how Pritzker.
Right. Sounds like a dictator.
He is. He is a dictator. I mean, he one of them dictator with a big old turkey leg on his hands, talking about, we're going to yay me and stuff like that. That's what Pritzker is all about and stuff. But I tell anybody that it's time to arm ourselves, because this is like a war that we get ready to go through now in this street. I mean, it's bad enough we got to fight among ourselves, but we got a bigger problem.
Yeah, we done let too many communists into the country. We done bred too many communists from within the country, and then we done let too many people that's not Americans come in this country illegally. Like that alone is crazy. So what I think was gonna happen is they're gonna just keep rolling back the police, keep rolling them back, and just pretty much let the purge happen. Because if you saw the BLM riots, that was the purge. That was literally the purge. Like, I've never seen something so crazy. You could pretty much do whatever you want, and if you would murder somebody, I'm pretty sure you would have got away with it. I'm surprised we didn't just see murder. I've seen murder and people get away with it, but like during that time, they were just more concerned about stealing and looting. But they're gonna keep rolling the police back to the point where you're gonna need to enforce police, because they're gonna be like, look what's happening in these inner cities. We need to enforce martial law, and I think that martial law might come after like some type of civil war, because I don't think we should have a war. I think it's almost gonna be like they're just gonna twist our arm until it's gonna end up being that.
Well, the only way you're gonna have to slow it down or stop it is you're gonna have to defend yourself by arming yourself.
Yeah.
That's main.
Yeah.
That's the main thing, Rob, because if you look at it, crime is a business to the Democrats. The Democrats want you to commit crime. The Democrats need that crime element,
Right.
especially in the inner city. So you got three major cities: New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago. Three of those major cities. Now I'm gonna break it down. That's one. That's a layer, right? It's a second layer. 3 mayors, black Democrat mayor, run by 3 white Democrat governors. So guess what that means? Joe Biden is the master. J.B. Pritzker is the overseer. Brandon Johnson is the whipping boy.
Basically, that's what it's seeming like.
Now think about that. What I just said.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Now, if you Joe Biden now here's this is how it is. Brandon Johnson, Eric Adams, and I don't know what the other witch is, but they over here crying, "Master, we need more federal government money and stuff." And then he tell the overseer, "Master, we need some more money." Then they go to the plantation where the big boss say, "Nah, we gonna wait, but your niggas ain't picking up the cotton." So what's going on? I need my cotton pick. Damn, cottons are your tax dollars.
Yeah.
So that's why things are so chaotic. And then they tell you everything's under control, boss, because we're going to put these slaves out here in the field. We're going to put them in their place and stuff. That's how this game works right offhand. That's how it works.
Wow, that's a pretty profound way of looking at it. I knew that it was like, I knew that the Democrats, like the system they had was very slave and slave master ish. That's the way you broke it down. That pretty much explained it. And I think the whip is the proverbial whip is racism. Just it whips them in the line and they stand at attention, and it's that's really what it is. They just save racism, and they pretty much just do whatever they want you to do, because like we seen it with this election. We seen it with the mayor election. They literally just called Powell Vallis a MAGA Republican and nobody voted for him. Like that's crazy.
Oh, he was up. He was winning.
Yeah, he was.
He was winning.
I remember that.
He was winning. Now Paul Vallis was winning. Now don't get that twisted. He was winning big time against Brandon Johnson because he was pro-police. Brandon Johnson is anti-police.
Right.
So guess who had more weight? The anti-police and stuff voters. So, but then look at the mess now. You got who you voted for.
Yeah, and I'm gonna dive into the whole anti-police thing, because I think it kind of I want to use the anti-police to segue into like the decadence of the black community and the culture, because when we talk to like even so-called black conservatives, they have a hard time separating themselves from the debauchery of the culture. They try to make it seem like, oh, that's not black culture. Well, it kind of is, because that's what's on the TV. That's what's around us. If you in the black community, which we are, that's what I see. Now, granted, I know that the average everyday person isn't doing this, but they're complacent in this. They're allowed. They voted for these policies, and they're not telling these people. They're not turning these people in. Like, there's no reason why King Von has at least 7 confirmed kills, and he had a music career. There's no reason for that to even happen. But he came out of O Block, where snitches get stitches, they glorify the murderers, and you get off for nothing. And then everybody in the neighborhood knew this. And the dude was on Twitter, he was confessing to the murders. Him and all of the folks was just confessing to the murders. So it's like, so if you don't want to separate yourself from that part of the culture, and you don't even denounce it, you just kind of say, oh, that's a right wing talking point. or even the black conservative. I was arguing with this so-called black conservative. He called me a coon. He's like, I'm a black conservative, but you're just a coon. I'm like, I'm a
First
coon.
of all, that's not true black conservative because black conservative don't play that name calling.
Exactly, bro. Like, you're not a conservative. You're a fraud. You're a fraud. You're an FBA, which is really, to me, FBA sounds like NWA, but we're not gonna get down that. I don't. You're not a black conservative, and you can't say that you're for the black people if you name calling the people that's actually trying to talk about the problem. Like, you're no better than the leftists. You're no better than the liberals. You're no better than the Democrats. And it's they not separating themselves. Like I say I'm not black because Joe Biden said if you don't vote for him, then you ain't black.
Well, he the voters now prove the point that of their blackness now.
Exactly. So it's like I'm not black. I mean, regardless of the fact, I'm clearly my skin is darker. But I'm saying as far as like I reject the black culture. I reject the that showing up on time is acting white. That having good English is acting white, doing good in school is acting white, not want to engage in fights is acting white, not listening to hip hop music is acting white. Just pretty much anything negative is acting is black. So I noticed that that black culture has pretty much, which it wasn't always like this. It wasn't always like this.
It wasn't like that 30 years ago.
Exactly.
It wasn't like that during the 90s when Public Enemy, KRS-One, Big Daddy Kane.
Yep.
Queen Latifah, MC Light, Ice-T, those real hip hop artists. The one that you listen to, like Sexy Red and them, that is corporate hip hop.
Yeah. But did you hear that like Ice Cube and Ice-T and them, they were feds too? Like they said the FBI like told them to like promote this type of music. Like it was the FBI and the music label, they basically was like, yeah, we're gonna push this type of sound. We want this type of sound out.
Well, that's what I heard I heard something like that. How accurate that is, I don't know, but I did heard about that and stuff because they don't want because if you push what Public Enemy, KRS-One, and them promoted, they was promoting self-consciousness, and the music industry and the CL say we cannot have that because then the more you promote it, the more conscious they're gonna be, and we need them slaves real badly.
That's wild.
So that's one thing. You know what? You know how Prince, now that just like for instance, Prince got killed, and I think he was assassinated myself. But Prince said the reason why this will make Prince and Michael Jackson genius. They control their copyrights. They control their music. They control their masters, and they was not gonna let them have it.
Right.
And that's one thing that separates true artists, because if you say, well, I'm gonna go independent and I'm gonna control this. Here's another example. Tom McDonald. If you listen to Tom McDonald, he break it down to the nucleus much better than Eminem, because Tom McDonald he tell everything what's going on with this country, and he's a white boy.
Yeah, I did a video on him and Ben Shapiro dropping that song. I heard the song. I liked it.
Yeah, like, I couldn't do nothing but to laugh and stuff. Right. I was like, that's pretty good. And stuff.
Yeah, people were saying that it's not hip hop, and it reminded me of the whole racism thing, because every time they try to define something, they got to say, "Oh, you got to know the history. You got to know the history of this. It goes back further." And I'm like, no. I don't accept that. I don't accept, like, when they say anti-Semitism, you got to go back 3,000 years. I don't accept that. We need to have a concise definition now. If you saying that hip hop originated, like you saying it has to have all of these things for it to be classified as hip hop, then why does the number of principles keep changing? Because it's the 5 principles of hip hop, then it's the 8 principles, then it's the 13 principles. So it's like it's just y'all just making
changing everything.
Exactly. So I'm like, first off, you're not gonna sit here and tell me that this song isn't hip hop. if you can see my setup over there, I'm a music producer. I make hip hop for a living. So you're gonna try to tell me that because you don't like what this white and this Jewish dude is saying on this song that it's not hip hop because they're not black or they're not a part of the culture. Hip hop is a part of the culture, but the culture is not hip hop. Like anybody can make hip hop. Y'all accept the Eminem, but I guess you could argue that he's in the culture. There's plenty of white people rapping. Y'all just don't listen to them because they not black. So it's like, but it's hip hop.
Yeah, that's another thing. And here, let me tell you something. Louis Farrakhan said something about Trump that I never thought he would say. He said Trump is a gangster.
Yeah, yeah. Anybody with eyes can see that.
Yeah, you saw that?
Yeah. No, I didn't hear it, but I can imagine.
Pull it up on YouTube. And Trump say that Louis Farrakhan say that Trump is not like these other presidents. He's not. He called everything out what it is, and that's what made Trump so dangerous towards the Democrats and stuff. But it's something. It's something.
Wow. Hey, Trump is a gangster.
He's a gangster.
See, the thing is, these folks nowadays they call themselves gangsters, but from what I remember, a gangster stands on business. They do business. Like a gangster is, I stand on my principles and I'm doing business. It's business. There's transaction and I'm not letting you finesses, none of that. You standing on that. But they think gangsters are thugs now. They think that it means to be a thug. You a gangster. No.
A gangster, you know what? Who was a true gangster was? Al Capone.
Yeah.
Who else? Lucky Luciano. Those are real gangsters because they dress up. They understand the code of a gangster. These fools here don't understand nothing because they could shoot all three of us, and then they call themselves gangster.
Yeah, that's not gangster. That's pathetic.
No, it's gangsterlicious if you saw it.
Bro, it's gangsterlicious. And I'm gonna play this clip of Louis Farrakhan. Play this real quick.
Source. Nation of Islam leader Louis Farrakhan praised the billionaire for refusing donations from Jews. In a sermon this week, Farrakhan said Trump is the only one who stands up to Jewish groups and says that he won't take their money. The religious leader, however, fell short of fully endorsing Trump. Farrakhan has been known to call Jews the synagogue of Satan. According to the Anti-Defamation League, Trump throughout.
I don't think that's him saying it, but just based off that. That's biblical. They're saying that Farrakhan said it. Farrakhan didn't say that. Jesus said that. They you see how they try to paint it a certain way.
Oh yeah,
that's crazy. Yeah, they try to spin a narrative, and they gotta understand that this stuff is biblical, man. Ain't nobody saying this to be spiteful towards Jews. I'm having a hard time. Yeah, I'm having a hard time. Maybe he said something else. I have to find it another time. But yeah. So what they try to do is they basically try to attach you to this label. And then once they label you, they can say whatever they want. So like that's the way that they can try to conceal the truth, because they call you something to give you a label, and then they say, okay, well, this neo-Nazi fascist, then they say this what he said. Well, what he said makes sense, but once you read neo-Nazi fascist, it's like, well, now I gotta stay away from it because I don't want to be associated with that. And that's what they just try to do to Farrakhan. Now, I don't agree with everything he said. He called the white man a devil, all that stuff. That's beyond me. That's crazy. I don't agree with that. But them saying that he said that the Jews are the synagogue of Satan, that is biblical. Like, I'm not arguing that. You don't have to agree with everything that somebody says, except Jesus. But that
was part of history before his crucifixion, because the Jews was in front of the house. Selling things and stuff, and Jesus rebuked that.
Exactly. So it's like it's not a surprise that he would say it, and like anybody that has read the Bible, understand the Bible, and understand the gospel is like that. You know, they have a history of this, and I don't mean to go on a tangent about the Jews, but like, you know, it's biblical. Like they've been kicked out of every country they've ever been in, so it's like so every country saying the same thing, they're all lying.
But you gotta give them credit.
Oh, they know how to get it. They
You
know how to
got
get it
you
for
gotta
sure.
give them credit. They focus on family
Yeah,
and faith.
yeah,
They focus on that. Gotta give. I can't knock them down for what they do and stuff. Did they did some dirt? Yeah, probably so. But you know, like I said, I give them credit when credit are due
yeah,
because when they focus on one, they focus on they make. Let me tell you something. You got parents, white, Asian, Jews, even though that's not a nationality, but still. Who else? You got all these different nationalities. What's the first thing they focus on when they have a family?
just putting their people on.
Education.
Oh yeah, education. Yeah,
Yeah, they focus
Yeah.
on education.
Yeah, we don't
Not through
value
the
that.
school book. Not through not only through school books, but in life, because the average age that a parent make sure their kids go to college is at the age of 4. Black parents, especially single mom, first thing they tell their kids when they grow up is either gonna be two things: an entertainer, like a rap star, or an athlete and stuff. So let's look at it like this here. If let's say that a mom say my son gonna be an athlete and stuff. The reason why she said that because if he's good enough to make the NBA now, that the chances are
one.
1 out of 6,000. But he's not educate. He did not prepare himself educational wise,
Right.
just in case if that don't work out for him.
Right.
So
Can't put all your eggs in one basket.
now you got the black athlete. First thing black athletes do, they buy their mama a house, buy them a real
Yeah.
expensive car.
Yeah.
Guess what white athletes do? They invest their money.
Yeah.
They don't even
Yeah.
some buy their parents a house. Some of them pay their parents house note off. They pay it off.
Yeah. That's.
They pay it off.
I mean,
and they got their own house.
I get the notion, but like, you need to make better business decisions off back so you can.
Well, in order for you to make better business decision, you gotta look at where the problem come in at. Because 22-year-old and stuff, and then first thing you do is buy your mama a $12 million house.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know, and she still got that mind of the projects.
Right.
See, that's a big difference.
Right. And then like, see, the thing with that is when you sponsoring grown people, they expect the handout. Why would they expect you to stop? If you pay for her mansion and you give her money, you know, wow. And then if you decide, yeah, I'm not gonna give you money anymore. You know, I gave you this, I gave you that. Now all of a sudden, it don't matter what you did for her. She's like, why are you not doing it no more?
Because here's the old saying: I brought you into this world, and you owe me.
That's wild.
That's what they say. You owe me. Like I did 20 years in the military, and when my aunt died, they asked me if I was going to send my mother some money so she could fly to Atlanta. And I say no. I got a wife. I had a wife.
Right.
Why would I want to give her money for it? She got a job.
Right.
That's your mama.
Yeah. And
And I say, okay, now make an argument. She brought you into this world. Well, she brought me into this world. Where, at Walmart or something? I'm confused. Please enlighten me on this one. You know what I'm talking about? No, I don't know what you're talking about. She brought you in this world by herself, because I know I had a dad once in my life.
right.
So you see what I'm getting at?
Yeah, it's like
you throwing me word salad, I'm gonna toss
Word
and throw
salad.
it right back at you.
Right, I'm gonna give you some
You
Caesar
know,
salad.
and they supposed to say, then they say that once you marry, that's your first obligations to your wife. My
Exactly.
obligation was to my wife at the time, not to my mother. If she can't make it to the funeral, oh well, she just won't make it to the
Right.
funeral. That's the only thing I can see, bro.
Her mama be alright.
Yeah, that's how I looked at it. So, like I say, we learn. That's one thing we learn, and then we pass it down. We don't have to pass it down, but we pass it down anyway. We learn where our priorities are not at, and then we pass it down to our children, and then they pass it down to their children. So how you break that cycle is, first you gotta say, I'm not going to do it. Then you gotta read up on it and then teach your kids. I taught my daughter about finance, and I'm not good at finance, but I taught her about when you get your money, take 10%, put it in your savings. You use that as your spending money or your emergency money. And every time you get a check, you're gonna see how much both of your accounts will grow. So my daughter did something that I was surprised, but I was proud of. She put her money in stocks and invested, and that's one thing most black people don't do. They don't know how to hold their money. The athlete can have money, but guess what? They still gonna be broke when they hit 40 or 50.
Yep. Still know how to save and manage and invest.
Right. So why would you want to buy a damn BMW or a Jaguar? Buy you a damn Kia. You got 5 or 6 kids. You don't need a Jaguar.
Right.
You might need a damn truck,
You might need
but
a
you don't need
minivan or something.
You could invest in a minivan or
Right.
SUV.
Buy what you need. Yeah.
You see,
Yeah.
it's all about the priority and
Yep.
where the responsibility
Yep.
is
They're
at.
more worried about looking rich than actually being rich.
Right. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So if you do for instance, guess what? When Trump come back in the office, stock's going, invest some money in the oil thing.
Yep.
Oil stock, because guess what? The minute Trump come back in the office, that stock gonna go sky high. And he's a business genius. Trump is a business genius.
Yep.
Then that's who you, and the way you learn how about finance and stuff is, educate yourself, look it up on the YouTube channel, and learn from the white folks.
Yep.
They good. They may
with
look broke, but they
Oh yeah.
they
Trust me, I work down
they
there.
got
them
money.
Them folks be looking mediocre, but be spending.
No, they not
bag.
even mediocre. They look like you got on green and purple. I don't know if they blend in together, but if you wearing you wearing some dirty old shoes that's not brand name with some purple socks and a green shirt, he got money.
Right.
He got money. He just not gonna tell nobody how rich he is, but he know how to be rich.
Yep. That's all that matter.
Yeah.
That's all that matter. Yep. We gonna wrap it up, man. I appreciate you for coming through, man, dropping the wisdom.
I really appreciate this conversation.
Yeah, man.
I
It
really
was long
have
overdue.
I had a good time though. I had a good time and stuff, But this gonna be in what's gonna happen in August. It's gonna be a lot of blacks protesting at the DNC.
Oh yeah, we already know about that. It's gonna be Mark Carter and them. They gonna be protesting the DNC, and some people we know is kind of going not sponsored, but gonna be involved too. So we gonna see how that works. We not gonna be here.
Them pro-Palestine are gonna be there for
everybody. Y'all got it, bro.
I say, well, why you protesting for Palestine? Well, the Israeli doing this. I said, can you spell Palestine?
It's all just a social movement, like the
Yeah.
Ukraine and Russia stuff. It's all just a movement. They ain't got no foundation. They just going with the motions.
Yeah.
That's really what it is.
Well, when you see one, they say the river to the sea. Ask them this: where's the river? What river is Gaza at, and where's the sea that Gaza is at? I guarantee. Do y'all know?
No.
No, I don't even know.
Oh, that's
What is the Jordan River? Yeah.
And the Mediterranean Sea.
Right. Yeah. Right. Because they fighting over the Holy Land, and that's where the Israelites have to cross the Jordan River. So it's a. See, that's the thing. You don't even know what their beef is about. You don't even know what it's about.
I mean, I'm not going to get involved. You know what?
Look,
to be honest with you, I'm not going to say I'm pro-Israel, pro-Palestine. I'm not involved with that.
Right.
But guess what? If you want, I tell these protesters, if you want to protest, take a flight to Palestine.
Right.
Especially when they say LGBTQ
Stand for Palestine.
For Palestine,
Man.
please go.
Go.
Just go.
Go stand on the front line.
Go see how far. Let's see how fast, how long you gonna last that.
Beheaded.
Oh yeah, they don't play that over there.
That's.
But I enjoyed the conversation with you too. I'm surprised you didn't ask me no question.